Thank you, Judy. And I want to begin out of envy this morning. Stop in the name of love before. Some of our friends saw Diana Ross last night at the State Fair. All that wonderful music, but I always think of that song associated with the Supremes. And I thought, well, what a nice phrase to begin a service in prayer. So I invite you to join me as we open this service in prayer. And although a popular song, it's a key idea. Stop in the name of love. We gather today in the presence of the Spirit of all life. Father, Mother God, we acknowledge your presence and power. We truly stop in the name of love. We stop to acknowledge, to become more aware of love's power and presence within us individually, within our community, ultimately throughout the world. So let this theme of love be on our hearts and minds as we spend this hour together with the intention of opening our hearts, expanding our minds to the goodness, the compassion, the love all about us. Thanks be to God that it is so. And I invite you to join with me in our statement of being to make this prayer complete. Together, so is but one presence and one power in my life, in this church, and in the universe. God, the omnipotent good. And so it is. This morning, I welcome all of you to Unity South on Labor Day weekend. Could the weather be any more beautiful for us this morning? So we are grateful. And we also welcome all those friends joining us online this morning, wherever you might be. We hope that your weather is just as beautiful as the Twin Cities today. Thank you for joining us, for bringing your attention, your awareness into our gathering today. For those present in the sanctuary, please remember to switch off your phone or any other noisy devices. Today, we are led by our music director, Judy Moen, our wonderful vocalist, Geoff Jones. Yay! And we give thanks for those who work the magic to not only film this service for our review later during the week, but to also put it online for all of our friends to join us. Today we have Adam Schneider somewhere working on the sound, and we have Joe Rowan on the cameras this morning. So thank you, Joe. And speaking of love, we're grateful for these beautiful flowers on our altar this morning given by Francine and Gerald Evans. But what is more significant is the celebration of their 35th wedding anniversary. Hallelujah. So, what could be better than the next song? Let's sing it out strong for Gerald and Francine. Life is for living. Number 195 in your hymnal. Thank you, Judy, for being merciful. I've been in many a Unity congregation where we say, life is for living, da 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 da. So Judy gave us a doable tempo. Thank you. I appreciate it. And now, let us turn our attention to ourselves, to one another, to this gathering, to all of our friends online, and say, we behold the Christ in you. And I'd like you to think about how significant this is. Oh, surely we meet friends and wonderful people out in the world that see the very best in us. But here at Unity, we make a concerted effort to acknowledge the divine, the spark of God, the indwelling Christ in each one here. And that shapes how we relate to one another, how we have faith in one another, how we empower one another. The world may get caught up in opinions, political viewpoints, social actions, but here at Unity, we begin by acknowledging that pure truth within each individual who comes into this church or crosses our path. So look around the room and quietly speak, I behold the Christ in you, as you catch the gaze of a friend around the room. And now I invite you to look at the center camera over the entry door and let us wave at our friends online. and we know the Christ indwells them. The spark of their very being is divine, and so we praise it. Amen. It's now my opportunity. We have begun a new month, the merry month of September. No, that's not right. That's May. Anyway, September's special too. And during this month, it's my pleasure to invite licensed Unity teacher Don Rollefson and also our co-prayer chaplain lead, Don, to guide us in our community prayers through most of this month of September.
The daily word for today, Sunday, September 4th, 2022, is ease. Beholding God in every circumstance helps me know ease. It's easy for me to find God in the glory of a sunrise and in the laughter of children, and to feel God's love as I get together with friends or family. Wherever there is wonder, joy, or fellowship, God is surely present. When my responsibilities feel overwhelming, when conflict arises in a relationship, or when it feels as though there isn't enough of what I need, I begin to feel tense, fearful, or frustrated. I remember that wisdom, love, understanding, and strength, all of the divine qualities that live within me, are ready to help me handle any challenge. Assured by my awareness of God's presence, I move with ease and grace through whatever this day brings. From Proverbs chapter 1, verse 33, those who listen to me will be secure and will live at ease without dread or disaster. Let's reflect for a moment on the word ease. As we relax into this time of community prayer, release any concerns. Sit comfortably, breathing slowly and deeply. We acknowledge the value and power of praying together. We focus our attention on the presence and power of God, our oneness with the God of our understanding, our oneness with the Christ within everyone. Our true nature creates peace and harmony with ease. God is peace, love, and harmony. Therefore, I am peace, love, and harmony. Let's affirm that one more time. God is peace, love, and harmony. Therefore, I am peace, love, and harmony. Our silent unity affirmation for today: my thoughts and actions contribute to harmony in the world. I can never be separated out from the world around me. I am one with God, one with all of life. I pray in peace. I pray in harmony. I raise my thought vibration to bless the world with harmony and compassion, from which my actions flow. Acknowledging the prayer requests Unity South has received, we behold and affirm the truth within these individuals. We know that Spirit is working in their lives as they further awaken to the presence of God as their health, supply, and sense of purpose. We extend God's love to all that surrounds us as we take a few moments in the silence. Let us now sing the Lord's Prayer and feel the truth that is expressed in this model of prayer taught by Jesus Christ. Chaplain available to pray with after the service.
I am down and know my soul's so weary. When troubles come and my heart burden me, then I am still and wait here in the silence until you come and sit a while with me. Raise me up when I can stand on mountain. You raise me up to walk on stormy sea. I am strong when I am on your shoulders. You raise me up to more than I can be. There's no life, and no life without its hunger. Each restless heart beats so imperfectly. But when you come and I am filled with wonder, sometimes I think I glimpse eternity. Raise me up so I can stand on mountains. You raise me up to walk raise me up to walk on stormy seas. I am strong when I am on your shoulder. You raise me up to more than I can be. You raise me up to more than I can be.
Thank you, Geoff. That truth and how you expressed it raised us up. I actually had to stand. I could not sit through that. You lift us up. And I want to point out what Don so beautifully read, our daily word today, because it played with the word ease, and it also mentioned easy. And I'm hoping my lesson today on that subject of work and effort, that daily word might kind of set the tone for what at least I hope to achieve and what will lift us up. And that is this idea of ease. Ease is not easy. Ease means to know who you are as created by God, to know the indwelling truth, and then to take on a task that you deem worthy in life and strive to bring it about. There is ease there because you're operating in alignment with your truth. But that does not mean that it's easy, as in little effort. Just think of some well-known athlete, perhaps Serena this week, and think when they achieve a goal or victorious in a game. You wouldn't call their effort easy, would you? But a true expert, someone who has honed their skill, it is ease in how they achieve their goal. Operating from that place of inner power and from a place of practiced skill, learned ability, they achieve with ease their goal. You might think I'm dwelling a little bit too much on that, but I think it's really significant. And if we pay attention to our daily word each day that we take it up, that one word can have powerful and rich meaning if we pay attention and see into its inner truth. I dwell on this because from my experience over several decades in unity ministry, it hurts my heart to see people leave unity, give up on the unity teachings, because they think we're saying, just hold the right thoughts and speak the right magic words, and your life will be easy. It's not what we're saying. We're saying live from these truths, the spiritual powers that God has given you, and you will live life with ease. Do you hear the difference? I had a minister call me from another state needing a little advice, consultation, support. And it was on this very subject. She was giving a lesson in a senior center, and she wanted to speak on this, one's ability to achieve in life, to find healing, peace, power. And she said, but I'm a little reluctant. These are people that have real physical problems. Some from age, some for other reasons. And I'm afraid they're going to hear our unity message and just hear, think the right thoughts, say the right words, and your life is just going to be perfect. The so-called bowl of cherries. And it frustrates me because I do not believe that's how our unity teachings were founded. I do not believe that's how our founders, the Fillmores, lived their life. They worked hard. They developed this unity movement, and it was 28 years before they took their first vacation. Now, some may say that's not a good way to live with self-care, but they were really striving to achieve something and to communicate this idea that you can live with ease because of the principles of truth. But we're not telling you that it's going to be easy. So before I take up my lesson today on work, I wanted to almost impress or pound that into your consciousness. This whole idea of the gifts that God has given you, the way you were shaped by universal wisdom and given the precious gift of life, to have a life in this world. But we have to work that life. Continually strive to stay in alignment, in integrity with who and what we are as created by the universal power that created all we know and far more, and much that is still in potential yet to express. Do you ever stop and think about the wonders of the world in which we live? Watching that rocket on television attempting to make its shot to the moon. But it hasn't had an easy time. 2 days it's been scrubbed and set aside, and now it'll be at least the end of the month before they can attempt. Again, can you imagine how hard those thousands of people are working to get this project literally off the ground? Really working at it. But it's their knowledge, their perseverance, their skill, that they're going to get that rocket into space with ease, even if it isn't easy. Work or labor is defined in the dictionary as exertion or effort directed to produce or accomplish something. Exertion or effort directed to produce or accomplish something. In the Golden Rule, Jesus suggested that work or effort establishes a relationship between two or more people. Those words, in everything, treat others the same way you want them to treat you. You can do that with ease, but it won't be easy. Now just hold this thought in mind, that golden rule. Treat others as you would want them to treat you. On this Labor Day weekend, let's explore what our work, our effort can do for us and for others. Now, after a little research, I learned that the Winston Churchill Foundation denies that Churchill ever made this famous saying. So many people give him credit for it, so we'll just informally give him credit. The words, "We make a living by what we get, but we make a life by what we give." We make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. Thank you, Winston. Labor Day, as we celebrate it now, is often a time of picnics, sales, acknowledgement of the end of summer, the end of the Minnesota State Fair. Lots of social activities. But let's recall for a moment how it began in the 19th century. It was a recognition of the labor movement as it was organizing, and it was deemed a time to praise the work of Americans and their contributions through their efforts to our common good, to the well-being of our country, through production and building. Now, it had a little bit of a difficulty. Some in the very beginning wanted to associate it with May Day, but May Day was becoming associated, especially in Europe, with the idea of work from a communist perspective. And so in America, it was deemed that the first Sunday of September, first Monday of September, would be the best time to celebrate this notion of labor, not as from a communistic perspective, but the collective work of a people to build up their cities, their states, the nation of the United States. And from a spiritual perspective, we all contribute to the building of our society. We know that from the depths of our truth teachings. In our unity teachings, we emphasize the power of circulation as we generously give and receive. So, the last Sunday of this September 2022, we will celebrate the 30th anniversary of the dedication of this beautiful building to the Ministry of Unity South. It will be a special Sunday. Put it on your calendar because you don't want to miss it unless you absolutely have to be out of town. And the fair will be over, so that's not an excuse. But as we acknowledge the dedication of this building, we're doing something like Labor Day in that we're acknowledging the generosity and the hard work, or at least work with ease, of those who gave us the legacy of our church home. This beautiful building that we come to every Sunday and often during the week. Some of you are still sitting in this room that were a direct part of that effort. And on that Sunday, I'll be sure to count out the many, many, many years you've been involved in this church. We'll look at those statistics. But many have passed on. Many have moved to other locations. But that shouldn't dim our appreciation for the gift we were given. And how do we treat a beautiful gift, prize, even a trophy? We treat it with respect. We polish it. We care for it. We keep it clean. We repair it as necessary. And we should have that same dedication to this structure. And many of you do. You keep these doors open, this building heated and cooled and illuminated by your efforts. So please join in that celebration on September 25th. And I might as well announce it'll also be time for a little special nourishment after the service. There will only be one service on the 25th so that the entire family of Unity South can come together in one celebration, a quick but delicious meal, and then the board will present a update meeting and bring you up to date on many of our projects, where they are, what the ministry teams are doing, and so forth. So today, with this idea of giving and receiving through our work, our effort in life, let's consider the balance that we have in our individual lives, giving and receiving. There's a story told in the early Christian movement in the first century in a community led by Peter, who would become, at least symbolically, the first pope. And Peter had this community. And I don't know if you remember in those early Christian communities, when you came into it, you gave everything you had to the community. The community then dealt it out as people needed it. So it was really a commune form of living. But Peter said something very significant in that. He said, no individual in our community should be pressed to give to the point of depletion, strain, pain. No one should be pushed that far. He said, if we all work together, no one individual suffers with the burden when we all work together. How often have I said Charles Fillmore's words from a century ago, in our unity of purpose. That is, when we all come together in a collective work and work shoulder to shoulder, so to speak, then the work is done with what? Ease. Thank you. Well, today and the next 2 Sundays, I'm going to take some cues from a brand new book with this interesting title, The Wonder Drug. The Wonder Drug. Well, it was probably chosen by its 2 authors who happen to be medical doctors, Stephen Trzejacek and Anthony Mazzarelli. They both explored scientific research in many fields on the subject of serving others, and their conclusion that scientific research today supports the great benefit to health and well-being for those whom they term live-to-givers. Live-to-givers. People that want to give back to life, that want to give to their communities and their world. Now, we can only touch on a few highlights today, so you should be relieved. These highlights are very encouraging because they imply the possibilities and creative change that each one of us can achieve. Your own life can be a research project of great results. They declare that neuroscience has looked at the idea of nature versus nurture, a term I even had back in college, so I know it's been around for a while. This idea of nature versus nurture is an idea of looking at what is inborn nature, your genetic design, so to speak, your given, your traits, and what is nurture. That is how you've lived, how you've been educated, how you practice and learn in your own life. Nurture is about possibility and change and growth. The nature idea is fixed. Carlotta came into this world with a certain personality, certain traits, certain abilities, and it was fixed from day one. Or we can look at Carlotta and her many achievements that she practiced through hard work, through learning, through developing new skills. She nurtured herself into what she is today. Thank you for being my example. So, we're applying this to how we participate in the world, how we give back to the world. So, there is this debate whether our giving nature, our generous heart, is something that we were born with. We got good genes, so to speak, from our family line that made us a generous person, or is someone with a generous character someone that has been created, nurtured that way through life? Perhaps one way, they've learned and practiced unity principles, for example. Maybe they learned it in other teachings, other faith traditions, or in other social projects. They learned and they grew in their capacity to be a generous giver to life. So I ask you to hold that question. There's no written quiz here. Hold that question. Did you simply inherit a generous spirit, or did you learn it? Hold that in mind. After reviewing much research in the area of genetics and the study of identical and fraternal twins, Stanford University professor Jamil Zaki concluded that only about 30% of our capacity to care for others, to be generous, compassionate, empathetic, only 30% do they believe is genetically determined, while 70% is learned, is nurtured, is developed. The exciting part of this research shows that almost anything we want to learn, including a focus on others, an empathetic heart, can be learned. Can be learned. Unlike zebras, we can change our stripes. That's encouraging. We have the possibility to change. It's not just hardwired into our character. We can't get away with saying, "Oh, that's just the way I am." To be honest, we would have to say, "Oh, that's just the decision I've made." Do you hear the difference? So often, I have run across adults, and when we say adults, some of us kind of consider ourselves mature and fixed in our ways. So I've been told. And I will hear adults in some kind of a creative class or workshop say, "Oh, I have no musical skill. Oh, I'm not artistic. I can't do this drawing exercise. Folks, let's be honest. In our unity understanding, we can say, I have not chosen to learn such and such. I have not chosen to learn to play the piano like Judy, for example. It's a decision. It's not something we were just born with. I don't know about you, but that gives me hope that even at my current age, I still have the possibility of learning, of developing new skills, new possibilities. The game ain't over. Hold that thought. They went a little further with their research, and they wanted to study this idea, does belief in change make change possible? In other words, if you think you can change, will that really affect your ability to change? Remember the little train trying to get up the hill? I think I can, I think I can, I think I can, I think I can. And it got to the top of the hill and started to descend. I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could, I knew I could. To have that idea, the researchers wanted to know if it made a difference. If people believed they could change, would they change, be able to change? So another Stanford professor, Carol Dweck, noted that many people believe that successful learning, hear this, is based solely on innate ability. Perhaps the IQ you were born with. She described this viewpoint as a fixed mindset. She said, now others believe that successful learning is based on hard work, training, perseverance, not giving up. She termed this a growth mindset. The difference between these two viewpoints is profound. Fixed mindset people believe that their abilities are set in stone. They're a given. They dread failure in life because they believe it exposes their inherent lack of ability. They avoid new challenges in which they might fail and be seen by others as stupid. Listen to that. They don't want to try new things because they think their abilities are set in stone. They can't grow, they can't develop. So they don't want to be shown up, trying new things and failing. Growth mindset people understand that their abilities are a skill to be nurtured. They don't fear failures because they know that's how learning happens. We learn from mistakes. They're eager to take on new challenges, to grow, and to learn new skills. So finally, several of these mentioned scientists at Stanford teamed up for a study about whether these mindsets affect empathy, compassion. They recognize that there's a lot going on in our world that is upsetting, a lot of pain and suffering. Over 7 studies that they developed, they required demanding tasks, such as listening to another person's sad story, aiding cancer patients face to face, and engaging with people that have conflicting political views. Does this sound anything like our world today? The challenges, the hardships, the conflicting opinions. So the subjects with the fixed mindset, believing that empathy or compassion is a trait, they tended to give up sooner in these exercises. Well, I've never been any good at this. I can't do this. I was never one of those touchy-feely people. I just don't have empathy in my genes. Those with a growth mindset were reminded that improvement is possible, and those subjects tried harder, listened closer, and ultimately did more and cared more. Dr. Dweck concluded that becoming is better than being. Becoming, evolving, growing is better than just being who you've always been. That possibility. So I invite you, we could ask ourselves, do we want to grow and evolve, or do we want to stay consistent to who we've always been? Hold that thought. Further research was then done with Tibetan monks who practice very devotedly a particular kind of meditation that they call loving kindness meditation. When these monks were in their compassion mode, they actually generated brain waves that were recorded by EEG equipment that was off the charts. Those doing the research had never seen such high levels of gamma wave recordings. And what was interesting was when the monks were no longer meditating specifically, but just their regular self, even though those recordings on the EEG declined slightly, they still stayed at an average level far higher than in any of the other test subjects. They had developed a capacity of compassion and empathy that was reflected and could be demonstrated by the activity within their brain. The last study I'll mention was at the Max Planck Institute in Germany, and they found very similar results with subjects who were given compassion training before viewing upsetting images. And when they were given the compassion training and they viewed these upsetting images, they were resilient and able to stay with it and didn't have to just turn away. The conclusion of the research was that cultivating compassion is not only possible, but it also strengthens resilience and makes witnessing hard things easier to cope with and therefore easier to take helpful action. Although these research studies are just a little taste, I want to recall what I began with, Jesus' golden rule, which is reflected in many world traditions and religious teachings. This attitude of treating others as you would want them to treat you. This exchange of empathy between people that the golden rule helps build and nurture. Do to others what you would want them to do to you. There is a good reason this moral principle is seen in most world religions. It gives another dimension to our work and our effort. Now, our work can be in earning a living, producing goods, offering services, and this is all good. But we should also look at what giving, first through compassion, through empathy, and then to the sharing of finance, of participation. What that does to build us as individuals, or as we give credit to Churchill, we make a living by what we get, but we make a living by what we give. This Labor Day holiday, you might want to consider how your efforts are directed. Do you have a sense of them? Do you have a balance between self-care and an other focus, an empathy and giving nature? As you leave the sanctuary today, I've asked Yvette and John to hand out a little sheet you can take home. And it's a well-developed tool developed at Minnesota State University at Moorhead, and it was used in these research projects I've been citing. And it's just an opportunity for you on your own to take the 20 questions and see how you scored. See, are you the person, the empathetic, compassionate person, the giving person you thought you were? Can there be adjustments? But what we learned from the research is it is your choice. It is your decision. You can learn to be what you want to be. Aren't you glad that we didn't come into this world fixed? Well, like a machine. Machines do their thing very well, but they only do what they're designed to do. They can't learn. Well, some people in computer technology might argue with me a little bit on that, but basically, technology is a fixed system until it's designed to a higher level, a higher model. And so I'll conclude with this quote from John Naisbitt, a researcher in future studies and author of that bestseller from several decades ago entitled Megatrends. He predicted in the 20th century that the most exciting breakthroughs of the 21st century will not occur because of technology, but because of an expanding concept of what it means to be human. Do you hear that contrast? The biggest breakthroughs in this century for humanity will not be technology, as we're so often told, but will be an expanding concept, or we might say consciousness, of what it means to be human, fully human. So I invite you to join with me as we enter the silence and just plant this affirmation in our mind, this seed. So close your eyes if you choose, and just acknowledge we are all in the embrace of our Creator. We're all surrounded and infilled by the power of creative life that brought us into being. It is a realm of all possibility, of unlimited potential. So I invite you to affirm within yourself, I am a creative agent of good in this world. I choose to make a positive difference. as I grow my empathy skills, I can witness the world issues with resilience because I know change is possible. Change in me, change in others, and resulting change in the way the world works. Thank you, Spirit, for guiding and supporting me as I become the change I want to see in the world. Wow. And so it is. We are all creative agents of good. And so we say amen. And I invite you to allow your attention to return with ease as we prepare to conclude our service. So I invite Geoff to come forward to offer his gift of music. And I invite you to consider your gifts, all that you wish to share with Unity South, so that we can do collectively a good creative work in this church and in our community. As you take your gift in your hand, bless it because you share it from your empathy, from your generous heart. And so it is.
If I can help somebody as I pass along, if I can cheer somebody with a word, a song, if I can show somebody that they're traveling wrong, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. I can help somebody as I pass along, and my living shall not be in vain. If I can do my duty as a Christian, as a good man ought, if I can bring back beauty in a world abroad, if I can spread love's message as the Master taught, then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. Then my living shall not be in vain. If I can help somebody giving shall not be in vain. Hallelujah.
Thank you, Geoff. Now let's bless these offerings. Charles Fillmore said we all have the power to bless, and that power is to see the full truth in someone or something. And so we acknowledge these gifts that have been brought together. They were once designated mine, yours, but now they have become ours. A collective gift to work through this ministry into the world. So we say, divine love flowing through us blesses and multiplies all the good that we are and we have, all the good that we give and receive. And we are grateful and grateful. Grateful. So, thank you very much. And let us stand and sing our closing song. Again, an affirmation of the power that's in every one of us. Words are on the back of your bulletin. And now, let us consecrate this time we've shared together and the day before us with a prayer for protection. Together, the light of God surrounds us. The love of God enfolds us. The power of God protects us. The presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well. Before you leave today, I invite you to do two things. One, go downstairs, greet one another, and enjoy the good food that Lindy and Bob Anderson have prepared. And secondly, we sent out an electronic survey this week. We hope that you complete it. If you do not do email or anything computer-like, there are paper surveys out here on the desk. The only caveat is you must fill out before you leave today, because the survey will be over soon. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. What is the name of a higher ground? Mm-hmm. Okay. let us all join together. We know the power of prayer. We know the power of compassion and good in this world. And so I invite you to close your eyes as we focus a prayer on higher ground, the specific homeless shelter. It is the very foundation of our truth that wherever we are, God is. We declare the presence and power of God in that center. Any disturbance, any violence, any harshness can be dissolved by the all power of God and by compassionate human beings willing to lend a hand and to help. It may not be an easy process, but it is a possible process. God's power is greater than any situation in this world. And so it is. We say, Amen, thanks be to God that it is so.